Hello, everyone, and welcome to Recharge the Podcast. I'm David Coe. My guest today is a true powerhouse. She's an education activist, a best-selling author, an award-winning film producer, and the youngest ever Nobel Peace Prize winner. Her new memoir, Finding My Way, is her most intimate writing to date, bringing readers into her personal life beyond the headlines for the first time. Let's recharge with Malala Yousafzai. Welcome, Malala, and thank you so much for being here today. It's truly an honor to finally meet you.
David, it's an honor for me as well. I'm so excited that we can talk today.
I have a question that I start off all my podcasts that I like to ask all my guests. And I've written a book, and also the podcast is all about the concept of recharging. And that concept of recharging equates to how to have a conversation around your mental health and thinking about your mental health like a phone battery, for example. So, my question to you is, I'm curious, how's your battery today and why?
I am not a morning person. So usually, like the battery starts at 0% in the morning. And then as the day begins, as I get some sunlight and I look around and I talk to the incredible people, I get all the energy. So right now, speaking with you on this podcast, I think I'm at 100%.
Love it. Love it. Love
Yes.
it. So I wanted to first congratulate you on your new book. Fabulous, amazing cover on Finding My Way. I will tell you, I loved it. And it was really hard for me just to put it down. I felt you set the tone in the first few pages of your book. And I want to read to you that introduction part because I don't want to get it wrong. And I felt it was just so powerful. You start off by saying, at 15 years old, I hadn't had time to figure out who I wanted to be when suddenly everyone wanted to tell me who I was. To me, Malala, that was just such a powerful statement because I think so many of us have heard about you during that time, but we often might forget that you were unwillingly thrust into that global spotlight and you never really had a chance to own your own narrative. So, my question to you is, why was it so important to tell this part of the story now in your book?
I feel like I was waiting for this moment for a while to be able to tell my story of how I found myself in these past few years. Some people were even surprised that I decided to go to college because it was
Huh.
such a strange question that I was often asked that, you you have so much that you have already initiated from your nonprofit Malala Fund to then also receiving these global recognitions. Why don't you just go and do more of the work? For me,
Yes.
I wanted to do it all, but one of the very critical things that was part of my story and who I was my education. And I told myself that, this is going to be those wild days. Let's experience as much as you can and find out who you are, because here, like, here's like a reset button. You can find out who you truly are, what makes you laugh, what do you enjoy, what makes you feel at peace. And all of these, things that I experienced, some things were good, some things were not so good, but they were all part of my journey figuring out who I was.
Well, thank you for sharing that. And there's so much to unpack there. What I would tell you is that this book, for me, when I started it, just the rawness of the book and the honesty of the book just came out right away. And you really just let us in so quickly. Were you at all nervous to share so much?
I wouldn't say there was nervousness. I think there was a bit of an anxiety, or I was being cautious. I was a bit hesitant if I was either oversharing, or I was, maybe burdening everybody with, so much of my own story. But, in the end, I talk about my mental health journey specifically because I wish there were books that I could have come across, or stories I could have come across, where I felt that this was okay and like things will be okay in the end. My hope was like, even if it can help one person, it would be rewarding.
It's going to help so many people, and it helped me. So thank you. You know, just and you said something just now about oversharing or burdening. Did you preview at all the book with any friends before you put them in it? You know, just to kind of get their feedback. Were you nervous in terms of how they might respond?
I did not share this book
Hmm.
with any of my friends. And even till now, like, my friends will read it when it's out. I did have a conversation with them about the topics I had discussed. I told them about some of the stories that I have shared in the book just to make sure they were comfortable. But I think it's really hard to like, and I did specify to my friends that the way they might remember a story might be very different than the way I remember it and how I felt in those
Such a
moments.
good point.
But
Yeah.
I think all of my friends were just so happy about the book, and they were sharing their support as well. The only person who I shared this book with was my husband. So he read the first draft. Um, I think the last draft is a bit different from the first draft, of course, like that's always the case. So yes, he read it, and he was, very, very happy with it. And
Did you make any changes he suggested, or you just kind of was he just more a passenger?
I think he was just curious about his part in the book. And I told him, I said, I tried as much as I could, but somehow his character just turns out to be a very nice guy.
Well,
So
I
I'm
mean,
trying to
that's what
like,
we all aspire to be.
I said, like, I'm being very honest about my own story, and there are parts that I don't like about myself, and I wish I hadn't said this thing
Mhm.
or that thing. And I'm very honest about my parents' characters as well. But I tried as hard as I could about my husband. Although there is a part in this book about his story as well that, can sort of, people might sort of like not like him for a bit, and then they will re-like him. So yeah, I'm curious how people will respond to that part.
I think they're going to really like him, as I did as well. One of the key themes of the book of Finding My Way is around your friendships, and you know the importance of friends. Just staying on that theme here, and you write about how nervous or nerve-wracking it was to walk into Oxford and trying to create authentic connections because people obviously knew who you were. I'm curious, how did you overcome any fears that you may have had walking into Oxford around making authentic connections?
The advice I was giving myself was everybody's new. Everybody wants to make friends, and don't be shy. Go speak to people, make as many friends as you can, and don't overthink it. So that's what I did. I was saying hello to everybody. I was introducing myself. And there are so many things that I wish I could like put in the book, but I could not, because then we would have like 700 pages, and that would be just
Oh,
too
I would have
much.
loved that.
But just to share like one story that's not in the book that I would want to share here
Yes.
was the principal actually emailed me before I joined college and said if he can write an email to all the students and introduce me and say something like, that they should not bother me.
Wha-
And I was like, no, no, please don't
That's
do that. I said, don't say anything. I want to be there as anybody else. And like, I don't want to be introduced through an email or, through a speech or something, because then everybody feels awkward. I want them to see me as any other student. So, we are meeting at the first week, wherever freshers week, that's what they call it, where everybody meets each other and you say hello and ask each other, your name, what are you studying, what college, and what do you like, what do you not like. And that's how my journey began.
Oh, thank you for sharing that personal story. And thank you for listening to your inner voice and not letting, I think what was trying to be well-intentioned may turn out to be something that you were able to kind of do things on your own terms with your own friends. You've given some great advice around like, just going up to people and making friends and putting yourself out there. Do you have other advice that you would give to our listeners about trying to make the most out of your college experience?
I think college can be a life-changing experience for you if that is something you're considering, not only because you're building a career, but also because you are growing as a person. You are preparing yourself for the adult life. It was truly transformational for me personally, because my exposure was very limited to people of my age and college just opened that door for me. So anybody who's new to college this year, or who is, back in their second year or final year, I just want to remind you all that learning is not limited to this time you spent in a library or reading books. Learning is also part of the circle you create around you, from including your friends and colleagues, and that is all part of your learning journey. So give value to that as well as part of your college experience.
Ah, such great advice. You talked about mental health earlier, you kind of alluded to it, and I just want to double click on that a little bit more now. Working for COM here, I always feel a lot of responsibility because we have so many people that come to us for help in their mental health journeys. And I was particularly impressed with how you shared challenges you face related to your own mental health journey. I felt that of all the things that I've listened to about you speaking publicly, this was really one of the first times in the book that you really talked about many of the things that you've been through. What do you hope that readers will take away from your own experience around your mental health journey?
I hope that people who are experiencing mental health challenges or going through a difficult time know that they are not alone. And we all can become really vulnerable, and we can experience these challenges in very unexpected ways. This was the most challenging part of for me in the mental health journey, because I thought that I had already gone through the worst pain and I had somehow gotten out of it. And my hospital recovery was very quick, like because of just like the physical stuff, all the surgeries and everything. And I was like back in school, and I was giving my speech at the UN, and just receiving some like global recognition, and I was starting a new foundation to advocate for girls globally. And somehow I felt like that just kept my mind very, very busy. And so I thought, like, yeah, like wow, like nothing can really stop me.
Mm,
And I'm supposed to be brave and strong and all of that. And then when I went to college, and I had um, you know these experiences which I share about in the book, that just brought like those flashbacks and the past
mm,
experiences back, and had panic attacks, that I think I was, firstly I was really um, uh, grappling with this concept of like something affecting you many, many years later.
yeah.
The second element was that I felt weak. And
Mm,
suddenly I thought I did not have the courage, and I was not brave enough. And that
mm,
also um, challenged me in the way, uh, you know, we sort of try to take ourselves through this journey of life by telling ourselves that, somehow we have to have no fear and not be anxious, and somehow we're meant to have figured it all out.
yeah.
So that was really frustrating because I was like, I'm told that I can figure out anything, and I'm supposed to
Mm,
be brave. Why can't I cope with this? And when you go through so many difficulties, and now something so small can be a trigger and can like affect me, not just mentally, but like then that shows off in sort of your physical health as well. So that was like the most difficult part, but um, I'm glad that I figured out what it was, and that mental health is such an important part of your recovery. It's not just about the surgeries you get, but it's also about therapy, about the mental health recovery as well.
absolutely. And you said something around that just now, the tie-in between your mental and your physical health. And so for yourself, are there things that you do to keep up your physical health? Because obviously those two are so deeply linked together. You talked about how you try to do things for your mental health. Are there things that you also do for your physical health as well?
I think the two are connected. We can't separate them at all. Mental health will show the signs, or in your body. It will affect your sleep, your diet. You will
That's right.
feel tired, you will feel fatigued, you will have really fast heart rate, or you'll be sweating, like it just goes on and on.
Yeah.
So for me, I realized that it's a balance between the two. I was so lucky that I had the support of a therapist, and I was following all the mental health techniques at the same time. I realized that just being out in nature is healing. Also, gym exercises, running are extremely helpful for me. That is a time when I can just disconnect myself from everything else that I have to do. I really enjoy playing different sports as well. So I'm trying paddle tennis and
Oh, nice.
golf. I have become a big golf fan as well. My
No
husband,
way.
golf, yes. I know. I was just, he was playing golf with his friend, and I saw him for the first time playing golf, and I was like, why can't you just hit it straight? And he said, do you think it's that easy? Why don't you give it a try? And I began, and somehow, it was a miracle, but the ball went straight.
Oh, come
That's
on.
that's where it began.
Come on. I mean,
Was pure luck, pure luck. We all know golf is like a lifelong journey. You just never know. It works sometimes and then it doesn't. But all of these things have really helped me. And then it connects with my mental health as well.
you mentioned just a minute ago things around panic attacks. And I suffered my first panic attack when I was a teenager. I vividly remember that experience, and then got to understand the triggers around it later in life, but didn't quite have the language for it. I saw that and read the same things happen to you. And you were initially hesitant to share your experiences because you didn't want to potentially burden others around that. What happened or changed to finally to be able to talk to others about that in your mental health journey?
I thought that I could cope with it the same way as I had done before. Just take it all in and move on.
Hmm.
And make it an internal fight for yourself. But I realized that I was stuck and I could not get out of it. And I still like remember that day so well when I shared it with my first like friend for the first time. And that moment was truly life changing because that very friend then recommended a therapist to me.
Hmm.
So, um, that's where my whole like mental health journey began because for the first time I talked to a therapist, and I thought like, it's, we all have these perceptions, we follow some stereotypes, and we think that, you know, like maybe it's not us, like maybe we don't need a therapist. So I initially I was a bit skeptical. I just thought like nobody would be able to understand it, but I think like that's sort of the whole point of therapy. They help you process what you're going through, and just I'm just so glad. Like I remember all of those sessions, and I'm so glad I saw that therapist. And since then it has been like, a journey for me now. Initially, I was expecting that they would give me like a solution to say,
Yeah.
you've been diagnosed and here's the medicine. Sadly, like, that's just not how it is. I
Yeah.
think they help you come to more of an agreement and acceptance, and you cannot just get it solved over a day. It takes time. The healing takes time. The acceptance takes time. And there are like small things you can do to cope with like sudden panic attacks as well. And I think now, like when I think about the future, I'm like, there are so many things that I have not experienced yet. I have not seen yet. But now that I think about the support system and the fact that, there are ways to get yourself, um, the help and the support that you would need, it gives me hope. It gives me hope that
Hmm.
no matter what happens, I will be able to find a way out of it.
Oh, thank you for sharing that. And, for many of the listeners today, I was just wondering, what advice do you have for others that may be a little bit hesitant to kind of, talk about it the same way you did?
You don't have to share it with everybody. You don't
Mm.
have to share everything either. But even just talking to your friends can be of huge help. I remember like the friends who couldn't say much, like they couldn't give me a whole therapy session on like,
Right.
take deep breaths or, breathe in for 5 seconds, 8 seconds. All they could do was just say, we like, let's arrange a sleepover. We're gonna come to your
Oh,
room and bring our mattress, and we are just gonna talk about like anything or nothing. And even that, like that just was so helpful for me. So even if you can talk to some of your friends, that would be extremely beneficial.
That's so great. I remember, and I don't think I've ever talked about this before, where the first time I talked about my own kind of panic attacks here at work, I spoke about it with employees here, and I
Mm.
remember thinking, how are they going to react? Are they? Is it going to be seen as a sign of weakness, or will they be understanding, and will it be seen more as like, oh, he's more human? Because people are all going through something. And what I
Yeah.
found was there was so much understanding. And I really think it really helped us from a cultural standpoint so that when I, as a leader, could speak about it, then it became okay to talk about it more here throughout the company.
Yeah, and I think now these days with social media or the way we all share about our life, it seems like the other person is living it all so perfectly.
Yeah.
And then we feel like maybe we are the odd ones, and somehow like, we haven't figured it out, or we are going through something, different. So uh, I think when we come out and share it, whether it's in our workspace or with our friends, or with people who are following us on social media, it can really help them see themselves. So that's my hope. I hope that people can know that they're not alone.
That's right. That's right.
So yeah, I I think back to how my friends helped me, how they introduced me to mental health. I think about my own journey with the therapist, and just the fact that I think in the initial phase of my therapy sessions, I thought, okay, like I think it's sort of sorted. I was like, okay, those challenges are gone now. And then when it came back again, I was like, okay, so this is going to be part of my life journey now. I might take a break from it. I might go back to it. I might have more sessions or less sessions. It's going to be this journey, and so never sort of expect like a full stop to it. Like let's challenge that concept as well. And So yeah, people out there who are thinking about doing something, I'll be like, please do it.
You and me both. Well, 100% to that. We mentioned therapy just now. And when you spoke about therapy and in the book, what I really appreciated was how you let us in. You let us into some of your sessions. And, whenever someone as like yourself or others speak about therapy, it can inspire others, as you said, to get therapy for themselves. So, how has therapy helped you? And also, what tools do you now use that you hadn't had before you got therapy?
Therapy really changed my life. It's still part of my daily routine. And sometimes I forget, like I'll be honest, I forget, and then I'm overwhelmed, and I remind myself, I take a pause and remind myself of the sessions and what I have learned, and I think the pause is really important. There of course technical stuff that they teach you about separating the feelings and thoughts and the emotions from like the actions, and so sometimes like sort of we mix up all of these things and we can get stuck in the thoughts as well. So that was a great lesson for me. And then the other one is just understanding how like very small and simple steps can be of great help. And it's all I need to do is just take a 5 minutes break, and put my hand on my chest and take deep breath in, deep breath out, and
Love that.
inhale and exhale slowly. If I'm stuck, if I can't think clearly, and if like, my brain is overthinking, I try to like focus on my heart and just breathe in and out slowly, and allow myself to take this pause and rest.
That's so true. Most people think to either meditate or to think about
Yes.
your own mental health, you have to go into these long sessions. But the reality is, just like what you're saying, just even 30 seconds of breathing, 60 seconds of a breathing exercise can really help to reset you.
My husband, he's like very different in the way he copes with challenges, and I have like noticed he's a very calm person. Like I have seen he can just figure out anything. I call him a Virgo, if that explains any of it. Anybody who follows astrology will know what I'm talking about. So I asked him this question. I said, like, what do you do when you are really, really stressed? His answer was sleep. He said,
Mm,
I just go to bed and I sleep over it. I found it really fascinating how people can like think through these things very differently. So he has really helped me a lot on looking after myself. He introduced me to sports, to gym. I remember making that grumpy face in the morning when he would take me to the gym, and I don't know how he survived those moments. But now I love it. And even with sleep, he has helped me understand it much better, that it's so important for you to have good sleep. And like that's like the most important thing, sleep, and then fitness and diet and all of these things. But like if you haven't had enough and good sleep and sufficient sleep, then it's like, again, the battery thing, the battery is not fully charged.
I love that. I am so with you on that. And your husband and I need to meet because I am a Virgo. And what I would tell you is that, so much of it is, it's not just the quantity of sleep, it's that quality of sleep, right? What other recommendations do you have for people to get just a good night's sleep and good quality sleep?
Okay, I'll be honest. It's really easy to give advice, but it's hard to follow it yourself. So
So
I
true.
don't want to be like a hypocrite in this, because obviously, put your phone away, don't look at screens. And I have heard all of those things. Of course, it's not easy because the reality is very different. And we are all like checking our emails and texting our friends, and we could be in different time zones. So, or we could just have work, like it could be work as well. It can be really challenging. It's just reminding yourself that for you to do well in your work, and for you to do well in all the things that you are passionate about, you do need good sleep. So consider sleep as a part of that work. Like, don't consider it as like a side thing. And the way I started like thinking about my sleep and my physical and mental health as part of my work, that was the key moment, because I was like, yeah, like, this is all part of it. Why do I feel like the part of me who's doing the work is like, that's the most important part?
Yeah.
She can't do it well. She's not giving her best if she does not get good sleep. So sleep is important. And of course, I have used Calm as well. And like, even if it's just,
Yes.
no, yes, I have. And and like it has put me to sleep. Yeah.
That's great. Thank you. Thank you. I want to switch topics and talk a little bit about just balance. And the question around balance I have for you is, in your book and how you've talked about this, your love for your home country of Pakistan is so clear. And you have so much pride and honor in that, and honor in your heritage, that is. And so my question to you is, how do you balance this modern life that you're living and the traditions of your culture?
Culture is part of who I am.
Mm,
That's how I grew up, and it's the way we dress, we meet others, we treat others, and we celebrate things. Uh, we live moments of life. So tradition has played a huge role in my life, but traditions are made by people. So the traditions that are good, that are beneficial for us, we should celebrate them proudly, continue them. But the traditions that are disempowering, that do not benefit women and girls, or that take away their rights, that limit them, we should reject them
mm.
and leave them behind, and move forward. So yes, that's how I see our traditions. And I want girls to redefine those traditions. We want them to be considered part of the society. So they are a key part in rewriting those traditions.
Ah, love that. Love that. Being a public figure as you are for so long, and we talked a little bit about social media and all that's out there. How do you at times drown out some of the noise that comes with social media? How do you disconnect from that, and stay focused and true at times, to who you are?
I have lived with it for so long now that I feel like I'm getting used to it, and I feel okay with it. I think about the millions of girls we are serving. So I just remind myself that that's where I need to put my energy. That's what I need to focus on, because we need to think about the war and the fight and the battles we pick. and we can't take on too many battles. We can only take on a few. So for me, the battle that I want to focus on is creating a world where all girls can complete their 12 years of education, where
Mm.
every girl can follow her dream. She can pick any career for herself. She can thrive through sports. She can, yeah, that they can choose their own future. And I want girls to live in a fairer, in a better world, than sort of I found it, then we all found it. So that's my dream, and that's going to be my focus.
Oh, I love that. Let's make that into a reality. I want to talk a little bit about your husband because you've mentioned him a few times now. So you met him at Oxford, and you shared initially you didn't want to get married. And so what changed your mind?
Oh wow, it was my husband. It was Arthur. He is a great friend, a great companion, and just an amazing person to be with. And one thing was very clear to me: I wanted to be with him. And more than anything, it was his character, who he was, how he treated me, what was his idea of marriage and gender roles, and all of the burden that you feel on your shoulders from the patriarchal expectations, and what marriage as an institution has been historically and what it means now. I was really, like, overthinking, and I am not regretting that overthinking. I think that is, what women and girls go through when they imagine their future, when they think about decisions like marriage or having kids, and what career path they choose for themselves, and how they prioritize their family. I thought like I was somehow giving up to the system itself.
Mhm.
But in the end, I realized that yes, that is something that we must continue talking about. We must continue to challenge the gender stereotypes, the way marriage is seen. We need to ensure that girls are protected from forced marriages, from child marriages. These things, like, these are serious issues. These are impacting the lives of millions of girls in the world, and we need good men. We need good husbands as well. So I think for me and my husband, it was our mutual agreement and understanding. And I feel lucky in my case, but I don't want this to be sort of like based on luck. Oh, he turns out to be the right guy. No, like, we should ensure that this is the expectation. And
Ah, love that.
uh, yeah.
Love that. And not only have you two gotten married, and it sounds like everything is going really good, you also started a business together and in recess. Can you tell us a little bit more about that and how it's going?
Yeah, so my husband comes from the sports world. He has worked in cricket in Pakistan, and I'm a big fan of sports myself. And then we said, why don't we use sports as a way to promote gender equity? So we launched a sports farm, which is investing in women's sports teams, leagues, and adjacent businesses. And we're looking at opportunities in the US, in Europe, and different parts of the world to bring more capital into women's sports. It is at a very critical stage. It is the right time to promote and to support women's sports further. There is so much research on how sports can be transformative in a girl's life, especially when they're at the school age. So we're really thrilled about the journey ahead, and yeah, that's something we're both really excited for.
You have so much going on, with recess, and you've been such a road warrior fighting for the education of girls, especially around the 12 years, as you mentioned, of education. Is that a core of the Malala Fund that you set up as well? Is that a part of the core of that fund?
Yes, so Malala Fund is a nonprofit that
Mhm.
does advocacy for girls' education at the
Mm,
global level, focusing on protecting the right to education and also securing resources for education.
mm,
Like, financing for education is one of the biggest challenges because there is a huge gap in funding for education. Leaders are not committing enough; they're cutting aid. So we need to talk about these issues. At the same time, we're witnessing this moment where the Taliban have taken control of Afghanistan, and for the past 4 years, they have imposed a ban on girls' education. And Afghanistan is the only country in the world where girls cannot go to school beyond grade 6 and university. So, uh, the Afghan activists say that it is a system of gender apartheid where women are systematically oppressed. Malala Fund is a champion for girls' education in all of these countries where girls face the biggest barriers, from
Mm.
Pakistan, Nigeria, Brazil, all the way to Ethiopia, Tanzania, and Afghanistan. And in Afghanistan specifically, we are giving grants and supporting local organizations that are providing education through alternative learning platforms. And it's really a moment for all of us to reflect, um, like where we are.
Yeah.
And the threat to Afghan women is also a threat to women everywhere.
Yes.
It's not just about protecting the rights of women and girls in Afghanistan. Like, what does that mean about our commitment, about the world leaders' commitment to gender equality, if they're choosing to look away and not do anything while the Taliban continue to oppress women? So yes, Malala Fund's goal is to maintain and build this pressure to keep supporting the Afghan activists. And then we do like similar work in other countries as well, including Pakistan, Nigeria. There are incredible activists out there who are creating these like smart solutions, who are doing advocacy, who are doing policy implementation, and they are changing the lives of millions of girls.
Thank you. Thank you for that. I feel like there's so much more we can talk about. And I would love to spend more time, obviously, with you, but we're almost out of time. And I just had a few last questions for you, three last questions. And I'm not going to call it a speed round because it's not. Number one, what's something about you that might surprise people?
It's an interesting question. I think I'm already sharing it, so it's that I'm a very competitive sports person,
Mm.
extremely competitive. And as nice as I am in everything else, I am uh, super competitive, which means I'm like no mercy.
No mercy.
Game. This is a game, and I gotta win. So
I love
you
that.
have to be competitive. It's a game. I
I
have to
love
win.
that. I love that. Remind me not to play golf with you. Okay. And number two, you inspire so many people. Who inspires you?
I think about a few people. I think about my grandmother, who was such an important part of my life, and she just gave us so much love that and she would pray for us all the time. That when like I lost her, I felt her absence,
Mm.
but I feel her presence in other ways now. I feel like she's there, and I feel like her prayers are still there for us. It's also my mom. My mom has been an interesting part of my life, I'll say. And growing up, she was a strict mom, and I talk a lot about this in my book as well. But I think I connected with my mom a lot more when I when I graduated from college and I was going through this phase of making a decision for myself whether to get married or not. And it was really the first time I put myself in my mother's shoes. And
Wow.
I had never done that before. I was very close to my dad. So I always, like wanted to be this independent person. And like for me, not considering marriage ever in my life was a way to make my life easier for myself.
Mm.
And then I suddenly realized, okay, like when you are in love, what do you do? And of course, there are cultural expectations. So I had to consider marriage, and I thought about my mother's own journey, and how did she decide to like get married to my dad, and like what were her dreams and her hope for life. So I feel like I connect to my mom a lot more. And then it's like all these other incredible girls out there, including the girls in our projects who we support, in the school that we run in Pakistan, in my parents' village, Shangla, to all the girls I have met around the world. Their determination, resilience, and courage inspire me each and every day.
I love that. And lastly, what's your favorite way to recharge?
Wow. I love running. I
Mm.
love to go for a run or run on a treadmill. I anytime in the gym, even a walk outside, and sometimes a nap, and uh, and and sometimes just doing a conversation with my friends, meeting up with them, binge watching a show together, or just simply like, doing 3-4 hours long phone calls, video calls. All of these things are my, are the recharge moment.
I love that. And lastly, Malala, thank you so much for being here today. You're just such an inspiration. As a reminder to everyone, Finding My Way is available wherever books are sold. Please, please pick up a copy. It is absolutely incredible. And I promise you, you will not be able to put it down like I did. And if anyone else wants to learn more about the Malala Fund or Recess, well, where can they go?
So if you want to know more about Malala Fund, you can go on malala.org. And it's a nonprofit that advocates for all girls to have access to complete and quality education. And for Recess, it's recess.fund. And it's a business opportunity in which we are investing in women's sports.
Well, thank you again. Thank you, everyone, for listening. Please go out and buy the book. Thank you.